Hello, it's Jennifer Harding-Marlin. Today's video is going to talk about factors you may want to consider when entering into a business relationship with someone. I think it's a very important topic, especially at least in our industry. We get people that contact us all the time that have either hired a competitor and or entered into a business relationship with someone and it didn't pan out and they're looking to hire an attorney and or find a solution to their problem. So these are factors you may want to consider before entering into a business relationship with someone. And I think one of the number one factors is competence. It's a baseline factor. The person has to be able to render the service that they're offering, do a good job, and fulfill their business obligations, whatever the business relationship or partnership is. And I think one of the ways to assess whether or not someone is competent is to ask key questions and have done research to be able to ask key questions, which you're not always able to assess this, especially if you don't have knowledge or expertise in a particular field. However, asking questions to be able to assess the person as well, checking for their credibility and or references. Has someone hired their service previously? What was the experience like? What are the expectations? And so these, I think, are different ways to be able to assess someone's competence, and just looking at the results, like have they rendered good results in the past, and what are they going to do to continue to render good results. So another important consideration, which I think a lot of people oftentimes get overlooked, is business ethics. Is a person an ethical person? Do they have ethical considerations when they make decisions and how they conduct business? Do they have compliance? Are they compliant with all the laws and regulations? One way to assess is not necessarily always the good way to assess, but if someone has qualifications or not. Having qualifications does not necessarily mean you're an ethical person. Like, there's a lot of attorneys that are not necessarily ethical. So just really trying to go and evaluate, is this person a good person, and is this person someone that is ethical? I don't really have a good way to assess that, but I think a lot of it has to do with intuition and whether or not your values align with the person. So then I think another important factor is business goals and objectives, making sure the person that you're going to do business with understands your goals and objectives, and that you understand their goals and objectives, and everyone has similar understanding, and that your goals and objectives do align. And so this is one way to assess whether or not to do business with someone. Another is communication styles, like, is the person very responsive? What type of communication are you going to have? How are you going to resolve conflict, and what's that going to look like? Another way to assess whether or not to do business with someone that I like to look at is if the person is innovative and adaptable. If there's a change in circumstances or something goes wrong, how are they going to deal with it, and are they going to be capable of dealing with it, and what's that going to look like for all parties involved? So I think that that's another important factor. Then I think another important factor is risk management, evaluating the risk, and also paying special attention to contracts that you enter when doing business relationships with people. It can be, sorry, I'm just fixing my computer. It can be difficult for someone that's not an attorney or is not used to entering frequent agreements, but really paying close attention to the contract and the obligations that you have. Another important factor that I like to consider when doing business with someone is the long-term viability. Is this someone that I can work with in the long term? Is this someone that I can call up in 10 years from now and ask for advice and or still maintain a good relationship with? And just really having a long-term vision. I think it's really important in business to have a long-term vision for your business as well as for relationships with people. And just an important note, because a lot of people do contact us when they have a problem, is in the Caribbean and in a lot of jurisdictions around the world, when you're trying to internationalize your life, there's not necessarily the same standards of qualifications and the same standards applicable in different countries. So, if you're going to bank at a certain bank, or if you are going to do business with someone in a particular country, they may have a different cultural way of going about doing things. They may not be necessarily responsive and or necessarily have to adhere to the same standards, and therefore it's really important that you always do due diligence on whatever you're doing in another country. And I think the time that you take in advance to properly assess the person that you're going to do a business with, and or the person that you're going to enter any sort of business relationship with, to do it in advance before things fall apart and then people contact us. But anyways, I hope this just gives like a little overview of my thoughts on factors that you may want to consider when assessing whether or not to do business with someone. Making sure that it's a good fit and making sure you feel comfortable and you feel that you are listened to, valued, and that the service rendered or whatever arrangement you have will be fulfilled is very, very important. And we here at JH Marlin have been operating for over 7 years. We've helped many, many people relocate abroad and do citizenship by investment. You can check out our website at jhmarlin.com or send me an email at jennifer@jhmarlin.com. I'd be happy to hear your thoughts on different factors that you consider before you hire someone and are entering a business relationship with someone. What factors are important to you? All the best. Bye for now.